Today I'm working on a mix for a gentleman by the name of Jeff Nelson. Jeff Nelson and I have known each other for quite a while. He approached me recently and asked me if I would be willing to mix one of his songs for him. Much as I did on the Francis McCann mix, I went to the trouble to consolidate the content, send it to tape, and mix it on the board using faders on the console and the Neve mix bus. I'm going to spend several minutes here going over the process of what I did, just as I did on the Francis McCann mix. The stuff was recorded at a studio in Nashville that was working on a Neve 8014, much like this one here. So you'll notice the sound has a much thicker tone to it than what you would have gotten if this were something that were mixed completely in the box. So go ahead and sit back as we go through this, and I'll step you guys through the process of how I created this mix. And then, of course, we'll listen back to the mix once we're done. So the first thing that we have going on, let's go to the bottom again and take a look at what we have set up. So the first thing we have here on the surface of the console, you'll notice, is the exact same layout that we had for Francis McCann's single. I've actually mixed these back to back. So the kick drum, the snare, the toms, and the overheads are all meeting together on these 6 faders, as is the bass and the vocal. I'm using a lot more reverb on this particular session than I was on Francis's. And you'll notice also I'm using much more EQ. It just kind of worked out that way. The overall gain also needed a lot of adjustment to get things to where I needed them to be. We're going to move over next to the rest of the mix. This is also where things have changed. Instead of a stereo acoustic, now I have a single acoustic and an electric guitar and a steel. There's also a mellotron, and as we scoop up here, you can see I'm also using a healthy amount of reverb, and everything, of course, being routed to the stereo bus. And then the next thing that we have here are the preamp sections with the EQs. And you'll note I'm definitely using the EQ on the Neve for this mix as opposed to the last one. Okay, I'm going to move over here to the mix bus compressors. I'm avoiding compression, or at least too much of it, but it's been really hard on this mix. But the settings are almost identical to what I had on the last mix. Then I'm going to scoot down here to the mix faders. You're going to notice, in light of that, that I've actually had to reduce the mix faders by about 5 dB just to avoid pushing the mix bus too hard. Similar to the Francis McCann mix, I've got a stereo return from Pro Tools for Altiverb and R2. And of course I have the RMX return and the Trichorus, which is being used here as well. The 93 is a primetime. Just for those of you that don't know. So that wraps up most of the settings that we have on the console. Let's go ahead and start the song, and then we'll go ahead and take a look at what's going on with the outboard gear and how the mix was built inside the box from there.
Lockers need to hold memories of old. High school was a time for men to be the fools that they are now. To money we now bow, possessions and their fleeting vanity. Exactly the wrong things up high, told everyone living life. I never grew up and then I died. Bedrooms need to be a safer place for me. Opinions have a toxic energy. I said some words again, them words they did offend. The stances that innately came to me.